Welcome back. This is Mrs. Rubright with Algebra 1 Honors, and today's lesson is 4.3, Rate of Change and Slope. Alright, so if f of x is a linear function, and always remember f of x is the same thing as y, right? F of x is the same thing as y. It's a linear function that is graphed as a line. The ordered pairs x sub 1 and f of x sub 1 and x sub 2, f of x sub 2, can be used to name 2 points of a line. The change in the independent variables between these points is x2 minus x1, and the change of the dependent variables is f of x2 minus f of x1. They're just writing this in a very confusing format, but basically they're just saying that you can have 2 points, like, right? So you have x1, y1, and x2, y2. They're just calling this f of x sub 2. That's the same thing as y. Does that make sense? F of x is the same thing as y. So they're just making it look confusing. Just ignore that part and just realize anytime you see f of x, it's the same thing as y. So they're saying that your slope, and they have the ratio written here, and it looks all kinds of confusing, but this is really just saying y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Does that make sense? It's just subtract your y's, subtract your x's. Change in y over change in x. They're just making it look so much more complicated than they need to. So don't let that affect you and make you feel like that this is something different than it is. All right, so if I have up here, let's go up here. So the change in x is the independent variable. So from x equals 1 to x equals 2, you're going to have 2 minus 1 is 1. From x equals 1 to x equals 3, you're going to have 3 minus 1, which is 2. You're going to have 4 minus 1, which is 3, right? So the change in f of x, the dependent variable, f of 2 minus f of 1 equals 5 minus 3, which is 2. F of 3 minus f of 1 is 7 minus 3, which is 4. F of 4 minus f of 1 is 9 minus 3, which is 6. So here you would have change in y over change in x, so you'd have 2 over 1, which is 2. You'd have 4 over 2, which is 2. And you would have 6 over 3, which is 2. I'm not a fan for how they organize that information in the table. I feel like they put it in a little bit more of a confusing manner than they needed to. So your ratio is going to simplify to a slope of 2. What is the relationship between the ratio of f of x sub 2 minus f of x sub 1? So they're just saying y2 minus y1 to x2 minus x1 and the function rule. So they're just basically saying the change in y over the change in x, right? So so in this function rule, 2 over 1 is 2, 4 over 2 is 2, 6 over 3 is 2. So they're basically just saying the ratio of f of x sub 2 minus f of x sub 1 to x sub 2 through x minus x sub 1 is the coefficient of x in the function rule. So what is our function rule? This is our function rule, right? Up here. So they're saying that what we solve for is the coefficient of x. That is your slope, right? This is y equals mx plus b. This is your slope. This is your y-intercept. Right? So if I have y equals 2x plus 1, my slope is 2. My y-intercept is 1. Right? They're just saying this in a really confusing manner, but it's not as hard as it looks. Is the ratio of f of x sub 2 minus f of x sub 1 this is just saying y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, is it the same over the interval from x equals 2 to x equals 4? Yes, right? Because you're going to have, basically they're saying plug in a 4 for your x, plug in a 2 for your x, right? So if I plug in a 4 for my x, what is my y? So no matter what I plug in here, aren't I going to get the same slope no matter what because it's linear? Yes, it's linear. No matter what I plug in, I'm going to get the same slope, right? Suppose the function rule was f of x equals 2x plus 5 instead of f of x equals 2x plus 1. Would the ratio remain the same? Yes, it has the same slope. Look right here. That's a 2. That's a 2. So the slope stays the same. It just was shifted up, right? Yes, they both have the same coefficient, so the same slope of 2, right? It's just shifted up. Understanding slope of a linear function. So your slope is your rise over run. It is your change in y over change in x. So this is your change in y over your change in x. Your rise over run. Right? Up how many over how many? Rise over run. Change in y over change in x. Complete the following to show that the y-intercept of the graph of a linear function is the value of b in the equation. The y-intercept of the graph of the equation occurs where x equals 0. Well, if x is 0, cover-up method, then y equals b. Right? When x is 0, y is b. If x is 0, then that's where it's crossing the y-axis, so that makes sense, right? So that's why your equation will always be y equals mx plus b. This will always be your slope. This will always be your y-intercept. Always, always, always. That's called slope-intercept form. Okay? So the y-intercept of the graph is as follows. If you're plugging in a 0, m times 0 plus b is just going to be 0 plus b, which is just b. Right? So that's y. It's not just y as in why, but that's y because f of 0 is your y. Huh? So funny. Anyway. Complete the following to show that the slope of the graph of a linear function f of x, is the value of m in the equation. So this is just saying y equals mx plus b. This is your slope. This is your y-intercept. To find the slope of the graph, choose any 2 points on the line. 2 convenient points are 0b and 1 comma m plus b. So let's try this out. So what do they got? They have f of x sub 2. So that's going to be your m plus b minus f of x1, which is b, minus b, all over x2, 1, x1, 0. M plus b minus b is just going to be m. 1 minus 0 is 1. M over 1 is m. So they're just proving this with variables, which makes it sound so hard and confusing. Show that the y-intercept of the graph of the function is 1, and that the rate of change of f of x with respect to x is 4. So rate of change is another word for slope, right? Your slope is your rate of change. Your slope is your rate of change. Okay? So, f of 0 equals 4 times 0 plus 1, which is 0 plus 1, which is going to equal 1. So 2 points on the graph are 0, 1 and 2, 9. The rate of change is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? This is x, y, 0.1, 0.2. 9 minus 1 over 2 minus 0. That's going to give you 8 over 2, which is 4. Okay, so your slope is 4. Does that make sense? All right, so classifying slopes of lines. So if the line is rising from left to right, this is a positive slope. If it's falling from left to right, this is a negative slope. If I put some vertical lines on here, N for negative. This is a backwards N because it's positive. Do you guys see that? See that little N trick? N for negative. If it is horizontal, it has 0 slope. Horizontal has a Z in it for 0. Horizontal, 0 slope. The slope is 0. When it's vertical, V and U are kind of similar, right? V and U kind of look similar, sort of. I know it's a stretch, but vertical is undefined slope. And the reason, think about this. Over here, I'm rising 0. I'm rising 0. I'm running, say, 2, right? I'm running something. Can I have 0 out of something? Can I have 0 slices of pizza out of 2 slices of pizza? Yes. I can give you 0 slices out of my 2 slices. That's just me being selfish. That would be 0. Over here, if I do these 2 points, I'm rising 2. I'm running none. I'm going up 2. I'm going over nothing. Can I give you 2 slices of pizza out of 0 slices of pizza? No, I can't have something out of nothing, part out of whole. If the whole is 0, I can't give you something. I can't make pizza or make money out of nothing, right? Like I have nothing. I can't give you 2 slices of pizza out of an empty box. So that is undefined. It is not possible. In your calculator, you will get a message that says error. If you do 2 divided by 0 in your calculator, it will say error because it's not possible. It is undefined. Does that make sense? Okay, so when you move from left to right between 2 points on a line with a positive slope, and so a positive slope, this is Amazon, right? This is Amazon. As time goes by, they make more money. More people online shop. It's cheaper. This is Toys R Us. As time went by, their profits were falling. They were becoming bankrupt. They went out of business. Why? Because people went to Toys R Us to test out the toys, and then they bought it on Amazon for less. If this is your company, it's not good news. If your company has a positive slope, you're going to be making a good living, right? You're making some money. Positive slope is good. As time goes on, you're getting more money. As time goes on, your money is decreasing. Uh-oh, you're in trouble. All right. So when you move from left to right between 2 points on a line with a positive slope, the rise, positive, negative, or 0. Okay, so if you're going from left to right and it's a positive slope, what are they saying? If you move left to right between 2 points on a line with a positive slope, is the rise positive, negative, or zero? It's going to be a positive. Positive slope has a positive rise, right? Positive slope, positive rise. Is the run positive, negative, or zero? So you're going up a positive number, you're running a positive number, right? Positive slope has a positive rise and a positive run. Use your answer to explain the slope of a line that rises from left to right. So if you're rising from left to right, you're going up and over, positive, 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 right? When you move from left to right between 2 points on a line with a negative slope, from left to right. So it's going, my rise is down, rise is negative, and then you're going in the positive direction 1, right? Run is positive. And a negative divided by a positive is going to give you a negative, right? A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Does that make sense? A positive divided by a positive is a positive. When you move from left to right between 2 points on a horizontal line, your rise is nothing. Your run is positive. 0 over a number is 0. Right? On a vertical line, your rise is positive. Your run is none. Nothing. I'm sorry, rise is positive. Your run is 0. Positive number over 0. Can you have a number over 0? Undefined. Make sense? A constant function that has a rate of change of 0. Describe the graph of a constant function and the form of its equation. If the rate of change is 0, so your slope is 0. If your slope is 0, the line is horizontal, right? If the slope is 0, the line is horizontal, right? So it's going to be y equals a number. All right, so calculate the rate of change of the function below. So change in y over change in x. These are your x's, these are your y's. Change in y over change in x. You're going up, what, $1.50? Going up $1.50. So your change in y is $1.50 over your change in x. Going up 2, up 2, up 2. Can I have a decimal in my fraction? No. Move my decimal over once. Move it over once. I have 15 out of 20. Which is 3/4. My slope is 3/4. Make sense? 1.5 over 2 is 15 over 20, which reduces. 5 goes in there 3 times, 5 goes in there 4 times, 3/4. I have a slope of 3/4. Or what is 3/4? 75 cents, right, per ticket. Because it's the cost of ride, 75 cents per ticket. That's the cost. All right. Estimate the change in dependent variable over the given interval from the domain of the independent variable. Estimate the rate of change. Okay. So the change in d of t. So from 20 to 40, how much did it change? It went down what? It went down about 1.3-ish. And my rate of change, let's look. Let's go from here to here, because we know those 2 points. So we have 0, 3. No, that's 3.5, right? 0, 3.5. And we have the point 20, 30, 40, 50, 55, 55, 0, xy, xy, 0.1, 0.2, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, negative 3.5 over 55. Move your decimal over once. Negative 35 over 550. Can we reduce that? Look, 35 over 550. I didn't want that, hold on. 35 over 550 is 7 over 110. Did you guys know your calculator reduces for you? Just FYI, it does. 7 over 110. So negative 7 over 110. You guys see how it does that? It can also turn it into a decimal. Second, that button, point, which is approximately 0.064. 0.064 as a decimal. So you have either way that you could write it. Is this making sense, guys? You good? All right, so we're going to end here. I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson on 4.3, rate of change and slope. So make sure that you do your homework on 195 and 196. Have a great night. Like and subscribe.